So yo, this leads me right. This leads me to think right. So,
You know what I mean?
because you talked about all these things you had to go through, I guess, just to get a session going. So like now with technology changing and music being more accessible, like, do y'all think? Because this is something me and Lee be talking about. Like, do you
Right.
think it made the game better or worse? Because I feel like due to the access, the quality got worse in the sense of the craft, whether it be mixing, rapping, producing, you know what I'm saying? Because now everybody can do it. And now there's no standard. It's almost like having a gatekeeper was not really a bad thing, it seems like in hindsight. Like, what do y'all think? Because that's kind of how I feel about it. It's almost like if it was harder to make music, the quality would still be at a certain level. So do you think technology was like a gift or a curse?
Both. Duality.
So
I
like,
think,
would you
you know
prefer?
what I think? Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both, because it's like at one point you say to yourself, yeah, no disrespect. I'm not gonna hate on the young boys, but at some point you listen to the quality now compared to, way back when, you didn't have the access and I'm like Digio before Digio One. Let's just be real. Before, you know what I mean? Pro
Mhm,
Tools, LE. Let's just be
mhm.
real. But again, it's like one of those things where at some point you look at yourself and you say, I'm in this. I've been grinding. I got beats for so many years, and I've been, you know what I mean. And then you hear what you hear, and you're like, wow, like it's so much of a leap. You know what I mean? The
Mm.
technology. Thank God for the technology. Now it's direct to consumer. Like you can talk to Akon right now. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that opportunity years ago. If you ain't
Mm.
got no plugs or you ain't locked in, if your mans don't know somebody, then it's difficult. Now it's like, oh, send them a DM. Like, you know what I mean? If he
Right.
hit you, cool. If you don't hit you, cool. So I think it's a blessing and a curse. I think it's the blessing is you have full access to the consumer. The curse is, everybody who got no disrespect to Fruity Loops, but and then everybody for that. So
So like
it is
Matt,
what it is.
so Matt, how is it? Because like, see, I code as well, so like I write software, right? And I get concerned. I'm self-learned. I'm self-taught. I spend money on courses. I learn whatever, and I landed a Google interview. So even though it's a great thing, I started feeling like, dang, everybody could do this. So then my value will go down, right? So you, as an engineer that teaches blogs, do you see, I guess, value in being, so technical about these things with what's being put out there right now?
Could you give me the last
Like,
bit of that?
like in the sense of, the meticulousness that it takes to be a good engineer, to mix a record well. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the stuff that's coming out is like nowhere near on certain levels. So like, do you still see value in being so meticulous with the process of making music? Because sometimes it's like, yo, dudes just get together and then just put it out, and it ends up being a hit.
Um, well, the value in the technical side of things has always been an illusion because the listener doesn't care about the technical side of things. What they care is when they put on a record, what is that experience going to be like? And
Right.
so if they put on that record and they're with all of their friends, it doesn't matter what it sounds like. As long as it's an enjoyable moment, they're going to like that record.
Mm.
It's literally, the music doesn't even have to be good under certain circumstances because it's the
Right.
experience of the record.
Mm.
Now, let's take a look at where people are most often experiencing their records: on commutes,
Mm.
right?
True.
In headphones on the subway,
Right.
in the car, listening to radio.
Right.
That's
So
still
not
where a
these
lot
big
of people,
systems.
it's where people are experiencing the records at the club. DJ breaks a new record, something like that. Usually it's in an experience where it's not really controllable, and that's where things like the quality of the music and the quality of the sound comes into play.
Mm.
All of it works toward fulfilling that experience for the end listener, and whether or not it sounds good or bad is completely irrelevant. And
Right.
that's not what I specialize in. I understand it, and it is part of my specialty, but what I specialize in is making sure that it feels good. that I'm creating a good experience on the listener's end.
Right. And I asked you that in particular because I've heard you say something along those lines before where it's like you mix to feel, not really right or wrong. It's just, even though it's technically wrong, it just feels right. Let it fly.
If it feels right, it's technically right.
Yeah, right. Like one of my favorite things I heard you mix was the was it King of Luton that you did blogged about?
King
King of Luton,
Midas?
something like that. King Midas or something Luton.
Oh, that was the song. Yeah, On the Way to Luton.
On the way, yo. So
Yeah.
and so
They
you talk
hated
about
that mix the first time they heard it. They were like,
what?
"What the?" They didn't
Yo,
like because it was so different than the production. Basically, the song was terrible. They're gonna hate me if they hear this, but I mean, whatever. They won a huge award off of this record, so I'm gonna tell it like it is. That song was terrible. Nothing happened in that song at all. So I was just like, you know what? On this one, I'm just gonna go crazy, and I basically reinvented the record using sound design, and it became one of the highlights of the album, in my opinion.
yo, I listened to that song so many times because when y'all two get a chance, go find this record. Like the way, like you said, the experience, the way it made me feel listening to it. I still don't know the words, and I've listened to it like 100 times. I just know it feels right. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, I kind of figured you would go that direction. That's why I asked that, because sometimes we can get so over technical, and then at the end of the day, you spend so much sweat equity in mixing these records, and then you put it out, and then people don't care about it after 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So, that's dope. So like, where do y'all think it's going sonically? Because we know, right? So I thought about this because Eric Sermon has that service where you can like sample for like dumb cheap now, because he wanted to bring that sample sound back because it was just becoming too expensive. So like, do y'all think people are gonna start going that route again with the samples and the live music, or it's just gonna be the blink blink blink, you know what I'm saying, going forward, and it's gonna sound more, I guess, electronic, because we stripped down because people just didn't want to pay the money anymore. Look at Juice WRLD's biggest hit. He can't make no money off of.
Yeah, I mean, I think samples gonna will always be around, because if you're talking about hip hop, that's just in its DNA, right? That's just the perception that you're always gonna have this. You can always sample, but of course, I don't think it's gonna be dominant anymore, because we can see most of the songs out nowadays, or most new producers are a sample. Right?
What if you don't sell it then? Because nowadays music ain't selling, right? So music is probably like the lead into a whole nother product that you're actually trying to sell. Because look at Griselda. They sample mostly everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't, and they just put their albums out on YouTube. But I think they're eating off of shows.
Right.
So like, does it matter anymore, you think?
I
If
mean,
any of those records start to sell, it'll matter. But
I don't even know if they're selling them, honestly.
well,
they're on streaming now that I think about it. So somebody's making that money.
Factor.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that part.
Somebody want their publishing.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I
how do
mean,
you?
the first project don't have to sell. They can learn a lesson from this one, and then don't sample the next one, right? This one could just be used as a stepping tool. So it's all in how you use that situation. You know what I mean?
But what's hard about that though is you lose. So like, I feel this about like legacy artists, right? The ones that try to stay relevant, you lose what people made you love you for. You know what I'm saying? So you go a different route to adapt, but then it's like it's not you anymore. You know what I'm saying? Very few people could do it, like Busta, Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying, that could do it. But most of the legacy artists, if they stay a certain way, they'll be good and their core fans will love them. But then they try to adapt and nobody loves them because the new people don't like it and the old fans don't like it.
I mean, I don't think you have to do. I always say this, like it's it's dualities. It's not a extreme left or extreme right. You know, Democrat, Republican. There's moderates. You can, you know what I mean. You can, you know, evolve in your sound, but you can also cater to your audience. I mean, I don't think you have to. It's this. Oh, you have to be young. Oh, you have to be old. Like, oh, I gotta be a purist. No, I don't. Like, they had what you know the new MP. What is it? The SP 1200. They got the SP 2400 now. You know what I'm saying? P Rock just posted it on his page. Like, he really looking at. I'm like, wow, Pete, you ready to let go of the 1200? You know what I'm saying? Because now it got it. You know, it got a drive in it. How many seconds the SP 1200 had?
Like 6.
Yeah, exactly. Now you got a gig drive in it? Like, this is going crazy. You know, but here's what it is. With that little time, it made you be creative. Just like Un was talking about stuff looping up, you know what I'm saying? Tape. Like, I remember back in the days, I used to make my tapes off the radio. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were, Mr. Magic Rap Attack. We was up going, you know, Kiss FM, you know, like back and forth, just hearing the new joints. And we was just, it was just, like you said, in our DNA. It was like, we just wanted to, it was just new. Now, I guess because music is so accessible, new is old. Immediate, like 5 minutes after a release, it's like,
done.
yeah, all right, donezo. You know what I mean? Unless there's promo and money that's being pushed, you know what I'm saying? A record's being pushed in your face 24/7. So it's crazy, man.